seems to slip away. I close my eyes, try to see your face through this haze. I can't replace all that love I lost on you.
Close my eyes, try to see your face through a haze. I can't replace all that love.
There you have song number one on today's MSI. Let's go over to Ian and find out what he thought about it. Ian, your thoughts on song number one?
I like the song, but this sounds to me like it's been recorded live in sort of one take or something like that, because the biggest thing that lets this down is the production and the performances. I mean, there's some really nice parts being played. As a written song, it stands up very, very well. I like the tempo change into that chorusy bit. But it's the performances that let this down, and the recording. It's very, very raw, which kind of works for this sort of music. It's that 70s folk sort of style thing. Be great at Woodstock or something like that. But it's just too raw. There's no compression on things. It's all just sitting there, which is what makes me think it's been done live, really. And the mandolin. I mean, I know Paul's our resident mandolin expert, but it was very, very loose. The acoustic was a bit sloppy. The drums were fading in and out of the time. There was no clarity in the bass, and you could hear noise gates kicking in when the vocals came in as well. I really like the song. I really do like it. I think the song's got a huge potential, but it needs re-recording, properly laid down tracks, do the overdubs, get the performances nice and tight, and don't stop until they're spot on, because it needs it. It's a good song.
All right, got you, Ian. Thank you very much. Let's go to Tom, find out what he thought. Tom?
I tried to like it, but it was very distracting with the background singer. It was, like I agree with Ian. It was very, very loose. It sounds like a homegrown recording, which is not too bad, but it could have been done much better. It may have been a first take and whatever. The song structure, there was a solo and another interlude. You could have done it. It was too long. It's definitely could. Hello.
Sorry, that's me. I'm going to put that on mute for a second.
It was too long. It could have done a lot with not having the musical interlude going right back into the verse. Musical outro went too long. I know they were going for an anthem type of feel, and overall, it's got some good pieces there, but I agree with Ian. It really needs. They got to practice. They got to get it tighter, and have somebody who knows what they're doing record it, and then make sure that the background is following the lead and singing the same song.
All right. Well, that makes sense, Tom. I appreciate that. Thank you. And now to our guest panelist, Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Ian and Tom. I mean, it's obviously self-evident that it's either been recorded on kind of auto 4-track recorder or in the rehearsal room or whatever, and things I always say, make your demos cheap and cheerful if you want, producers or whatever, but that's kind of taking it a little bit too far. There are stripping it down to simplistic terms. The song has got some potential, nice melodies. I like the idea of it's kind of like that Fleet Foxes vibe of male and female thing that's going on with a lot of US country folk things at the minute. It could be made to sound very current. At the moment, it's very, very messy from a production point. So I don't even think we need to talk about that because it's a rehearsal room recording. But if that's the way that these guys are operating and they're looking to get feedback from those sort of things, they should either invite people to the rehearsal room where even in that format it would be more impressive than recorded, or B, find someone like Tommy says who does record, who records to a higher level. I'm not talking about finding a top-end producer or anything, but someone who will ensure that the instruments are in tune, that they're mic'd properly, and who they respect from a point of arrangements, who can shave a minute off. I mean, that song was 1.5 minutes too long. The solo dragged on for days. And again, in that state, if you're trying to get someone to pay attention to it, I drifted whilst carried with the vibe of what everyone's saying. It's a great idea of a song, and it's the anthemic thing that's going to build, and then it falls into that intimate section where you got the two vocals and not a lot's going on. And I quite like the mandolin idea, giving that top line, giving it a sort of faces-y sort of feel. That's all good, but record it to a point where everything's balanced and where the song is what people are going to be impressed with from an arrangement point of view. Chop it down and make it count and just get something that's recorded a little bit better, you know.
All right, yeah, I appreciate that, Paul. Now, some of the guys in the chat room have said their piece on this. One of the things that Randolph said that I noticed was he'd clap at an open mic night, but anywhere else that's just a little bit too sloppy for his likes.
Yeah, so that's kind of, what I'm saying about if you were in the rehearsal room listening to that, you'd go, yeah, that's okay. But to record it is kind of like you don't want to be perhaps recording all your rehearsals and sending them out to people. You need, in this era where recording things to a better level is not a problem, you can't be sending out things that haven't had a bit of attention paid to levels and a bit of attention paid to arrangement.
That's
The
it.
other thing is they should pay more attention to each other. That would
Sure,
tighten
yeah.
things up. You know, they were
I
all...
think, though, I agree. I totally agree, Tommy. But I mean, I'm not disputing what you're saying. What I'm thinking, though, is they've obviously lived with that track for a while. And if they are in a position where, you know, like musicians get into a situation, I mean, everyone's been in bands and you allow people their space, and there gets to be this point where you have this orchestra in the mind where everything's sounding fantastic that you're doing, and what everyone else does is ancillary. So talking about it amongst yourselves, sometimes you do need an external body to kind of say, guys, you know, you've got the potential here to have a really nice cake, but at the moment it's a poo sandwich, and we need for you to play this and you to do this and you to do that everyone respects, without there being any kind of internal band vibes. Now, I get the idea that these guys are hippies, which is no disrespect to them. I think they're kind of pretty chilled people, else they wouldn't be making this sort of music. And I don't think they're going to be, again, I'm kind of just interpreting this, just getting a feel that they won't be the kind of people to sit down and go, dude, you know, like, that bass line, maybe instead of playing it for 32 bars, maybe if we did it for 8, because they'd be afraid of upsetting the bass player. So if someone else did it, I think it would work better.
All right.
I think the ultimate thing here is more practice. Rehearse as a band, get that tighter,
Definitely.
And that would
tighter,
make
but
that a lot
not too
better.
tight, ironically, because that lo-fi slight sloppiness, you know, they don't want to go to the end of becoming super slick session sounding. I kind of like there's an element of sleaziness about it, not sleaze of lo-finess is that. I think if it's recorded right and everyone's on it, I think it could work really well.
I just want to know, Paul, is there a B-side to a Booth Poo sandwich?
Yeah, but the album comes with free wipes.
Oh, goodness. And on that note, let's introduce you to that track. That track is called Been One of Those Days by Hard Rockin Rob. So Hard Rockin Rob with Been One of Those Days. Thanks for sending that into Music Scene Investigation. We really appreciate that. All right, gentlemen, it's time to throw it over to you and let you decide on the song of the week this week. So I leave it in your hands.
Do you know what? I'm going to jump straight in here. No, I'm going. My turn.
No, Ian, really, go.
I think you should all try and talk at the same time.
You go, Ian, really.
I reckon I'm going to give it a shot.
I really think you should go.
First of all, I second Trilo.
Really
my hat's on it.
All right. Well, let me step in here. Ian, go ahead.
Right, first of all, Trilo's right. My hat should win. My hat should be Song of the Week this week. But if not, I'm going to go for number 1. Now, that's probably might sound a little choice. It's the less produced, but it is the better song, and I liked it. And it needs a lot of work, but it's definitely the best song.
All right.
You can see here on my my notes. I don't know if you can read those from there, but just to show this isn't fixed, I've got a big number 1 there as my my winning thing. So there you go. Number 1 was for me as well.
Okay, and Tom?
Personally,
It's a
I'd rather
democracy,
shoot myself
it
and
doesn't
everybody else in the room.
Well, you can't do that, Tom, unfortunately, so you need to have a song choice here.
okay, then why rock the boat? Because it's filled with these people who sing and send us music. I don't want to go overboard because they'll tear me apart. I'll go with number one because it is the better song. It's the least produced, the most unprofessionally recorded. And as for my opinion for all three songs, I don't think any of them rather, should make it to MSI radio. I'm sorry to say. All three of them, need lots of work. Clarifications, unifications, recording tweaks, and production techniques. So even though I'm voting for number one, it's with notice.
Okay, I appreciate that. Gentlemen, your duties here are finished. Song number one, Hard Rockin' Rob's been one of those days. Is our song of the week this week. And Ian, Paul, your thoughts the same as Tom's on radio play for these two on MSI radio?
I don't know your criteria for playing. I mean, I always look at things. I never look at anything more than being demos when I come on this show because that's, to be fair, that is all I've heard.
Right.
But there are different degrees of demos. And tonight, there's definitely been a country flavor tonight, which is sure a coincidence, but definitely ironically I think the fact that we've all gone for song one because the song is the best. If we are here to be listening to songs and advise on how they can be better, then I'm not disagreeing with Tommy because obviously we want to hear things that are put together better. But we've been in a position tonight where the first track, I didn't think that was going to win by a long shot, on first hearing it. I was there thinking, well, okay, that's going to be third tonight, good effort, lads, but you need to try harder. Those guys have gone away and won tonight because they've got a better song than the other two songs were on, and they've now got the opportunity to go away and do some learning and try and think about arrangement and rehearsing more and putting it together in the studio in a more professional manner. So from that point of view, surely that's a positive. So then, it's not going to get radio play, but I don't think a lot of things on general radio play are going to get that via this medium. This is a medium where we're trying to advise people, correct me if I'm wrong, on how to put things together in order to get more radio play.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So from that point of view, I think then it's been a fairly constructive evening.
I agree with you. I definitely agree. Ian, I assume you're thinking the same thing.
Well, ironically, I'm going to say I don't think number one should be on the radio station. As much as it is Song of the Week, as much as it's a good song, it's not radio ready for certain. I'm not too keen on having number two on the radio station, but I would say number three would probably work on MSI radio. And the reason I say that is because the instrumentation is good, the mix is generally good, the production is pretty good. Yeah, it's got its flaws, but, there's going to be a market out there. Someone out there is going to like that song, even if we don't.
All right, well, that makes sense. That really does. Now, gentlemen, as always, thank you all for your jobs well done on the panel, obviously. And Paul,
do you know what we do, Rich?
Yeah, of course I do, Tom. It just takes me a while to get it out sometimes. Paul, I want to thank you very much for joining us, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know spending up to 20 hours a day in the studio has just got to be killer on you, so we appreciate you taking a little time away from that.
My pleasure. It's been a nice, relaxing hour and a half. I'm going to go drink copious amounts of wine to knock myself out this evening.
Well, there you go.
Good man. I wish I could be there and join you.
There you have it.
There's not enough wine for two.
I'm raising a glass of Gentleman Jack Cheer now.
There's never enough wine for two.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Thank
Tommy
you.
can wine for two.
That's it. Now, thank you for being with us on this week's episode of Music Scene Investigation. Now, before Ian flaps his arms at me, I'm going to throw it over to him so he can tell you who's on next week.
It's a surprise.
Well, we have a surprise this time, huh? So, in other words, you don't know.
It's a surprise. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. Well,
all seriousness, I have actually asked someone to do this date. and I'm still waiting to hear, unfortunately. But if I get them, it'll be a bit of a surprise.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to that. Hope you join us again next week, everybody. Want to remind you, if you want to see the show recorded live, join us on Music Scene Investigation at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. That's 9 p.m. GMT. And also join us on MSI Radio every weekend for Music Scene Investigation, as well as every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern for Indie Inquest. That's a show that we do, which brings you all the indie news and everything you ever wanted to know about everything else as well. So we're going to play out on Hard Rockin' Rob's song. Been one of those days right here on MSI as we leave you this week.